Okay, it's took. All the levels are looking good. Oh my gosh, it has been quite some time. Hello. Uh, welcome to the return episode after a lengthy hiatus of Black Stitch Hockey's North American Dev Deep Dive. Um, I finally had a bit of a break in my personal schedule. And it turned out fortuitously that this coincided with the conclusion of the junior hockey season. And uh, I guess I just decided it was time. And there is obviously also the distinct possibility that this ends up being the last episode for a while as well. Yet again, due to the slow season, but there will be plenty of NHL entry draft content. I will probably record a live reaction to that and have that be the next episode. Although, yeah, there's a bit of a break there. Again, not as long as the last one. And after that, it's gonna have to be like an ebb and flow thing. Maybe if big commitments happen, big transformations in the dev landscape. Yeah, NCAA rule changes seem to be happening at the drop of a hat. There's always something to talk about there. Changes to I don't know, eligibility rules. There will probably be news about a big NIL deal or something. A lot of potential commitments to track. A lot of big ones have happened within the last month. Shout out to Xavier Villanueva for his commitment to Boston University a few weeks back. For example, I believe it was May 16th. Yeah, let's see. Villeneuve. Yes, there we go. I remembered it exactly. Um, but yeah, it's gonna come and go a bit. But yeah, I have a draft board partially constructed. I have it more done than not. There's still some tinkering to do. I want to do some last minute tape review. Maybe dive more into some of what happened at the end of this run. That maybe there are some nuances I missed. There are also some games that I didn't watch that I'd like to. Um, but yeah, let's get into it. As these championship runs gave us some really, really good stuff to work with. We'll kick things off with the first round robin game of the Memorial Cup. There was something special with this Kitchener Rangers team throughout most of the year, particularly after their trade deadline acquisitions with, Sam O'Reilly and Jared Woolley, who made some contributions that were quite noteworthy in an appropriate way at the time that mattered most. We'll get into that uh, down the stretch. But yeah, the Kitchener Rangers really, really kicked things off with a pronouncement about what they were there to do. In the very first round robin game, defeating the hosts, the Kelowna Rockets, by a score of 5-0. Yeah, Dylan Edwards, Jared Woolley, Jack Pridham, Sam O'Reilly, and yeah, Hayden Ellis. Yeah, all getting on the board. Yeah, my boy Christian Humphreys got a secondary assist on that goal, actually. Yeah, and on with the 39-24 shots on goal advantage, very narrow advantage on the draw. And noteworthy, their power play was 0 for 4. Uh Very notable stat there. Yeah, you know, well, I'll save my assessments on that for a moment. Uh, for the moment, yeah, regarding Kelowna's overall form and such. The second one we had the Everett Silvertips, who were the WHL champions and a consistently dominant team, very often ranked number one in the CHL power rankings throughout most of the year. Defeat the Chicoutimi Saguenay by a score of 5-3 as they won the WHL versus CHL champ on champ matchup. Uh, Jesse Heaslop was the star of the game with his goal and assist. Yeah, who was it? I I'm sorry. I did not mean to ignore that. Uh yeah, so for the first one it was Jack Pridham. By the way, so what a last day for him uh to have as far as like his negotiating rights with the Chicago Blackhawks, which lapsed at midnight last night. The guy had a very, very strong run. Um, like let's put a season into perspective here. Yeah, they need to update that. His shit's expired. Yeah, like I don't understand. I kind of get why there might be some slight concern at in like the early stages of his post draft phases, but his OHL form more than justified giving him a contract, especially this year. 90 points in 65 games in the regular season with a plus 38 on a wagon. He that team had a lot of depth and he had no problem playing minutes, getting them, really earning them, and doing the most with them uh the entire time. And then just under a PPG, finishing really tailed off, but playmaking was good in the postseason. A plus six, 9 points in the Memorial Cup. But yeah, they would have had to have scrambled to get a deal done at the last minute. And that didn't happen, but nevertheless, he wins the Memorial Cup in the last day of his negotiating rights, and I'm like, this guy is a very coveted free agent now. Like, obviously, his late bloomer status means it would be he would be hard pressed to um be a star producer. In fact, uh yeah, I will not. I will make this quick. I believe this. Okay, there we go. Let's see. Yeah, giving you guys a bit of a peek behind the curtain here with some. Yeah, as where there is a 2% chance. Yeah, guys with his profile become a star producer in the NHL 2% of the time. Yeah, and now there's no one who ever has his dev arc or at least it rounded down. There isn't in terms of NHL equivalency that has. Although his odds of becoming a 200 gamer look pretty good, and I really think there is something there in terms of him being a very solidly contributing depth forward in this league. I really think there is a path to him becoming a steady NHLer, and he's shown that. Like you're at least looking at him as a guy who provides solid organizational depth at this point. I am fairly confident he's going to get signed pretty quickly. Um, but in any event, now that this diversion is over, let's go back to that second round robin game. Yeah, that third period, I mean that second period, 3-goal explosion, uh, really made all the difference with Lucas Kaplan, Zachary Shantz, and Carter Bear all scoring uh, in that frame. Landon Dupont's assist on Carter, primary assist on Carter Bear's goal accounted for his only point in this matchup. Um, yeah, so very strong performance there. Outshot Shikutami 37-25. Yes, and moving forward, this was the best game that Kelowna played in the round robin. Uh, but ultimately ended it nevertheless ended in a defeat. Yeah. So of course they fell 3-2 in overtime. Despite their best efforts, with Mez and Leslie tying it late in the third. Didn't get the job done ultimately with Liam Lefebvre, who was selected as the star of the game as he scored both the first and last goals by Chicoutimi in this matchup. Oh yeah, Pateras Boulans. Uh, Nathan LeCompte uh, had a pretty good matchup as well. Uh, you know, had a pretty good match with his 2 assists. What do we got? Yeah, pretty close game that could have gone either way. Teams had the exact same number of shots on goal, albeit that was due to Chicoutimi outshooting Kelowna 2-0. Uh, Kelowna really was the better team on the draw. And also I'm noticing that there was like the power plays in this tournament, like the first couple of games. Yeah, honestly, even in this one, it was pretty lackluster. Like Chicoutimi scored one power play goal in their one opportunity that they had, but Everett was 0 for 3, meaning this was really the first 3 games of this round robin were really defined by 5v5 play. Now we have the first matchup of its kind. Sorry for the spoiler, but yeah, Cameron Reed was the player of the game, with 1 goal and 2 assists and a +4 for the Kitchener Rangers as they defeated the WHL champion Everett Silvertips 6-2, despite being outshot 42-28. Dominant performance on the draw, though, 38 wins to Everett's 24. A goal apiece on the power play for both teams. Kitchener went 1 for 2, and really what might have made the whole difference in this game, Everett only going 1 for 4. Um, Although it makes sense that Kitchener's PK showed out because they were a very strong like team defense squad, and Christian Kirsch was a phenomenal last line of defense throughout really this entire run. But yeah, Britain with a goal in this game. Uh, yeah, once again, just an assist for Dupont. Yeah, Sam O'Reilly gets on the board as well. Yeah, 2 goals for Pridham. Like this was definitely like his standout performance of the Memorial Cup as far as I was concerned. Yeah, that fight between Jackson Vaughn and Andrew McNeil was definitely like an adrenaline shot for this whole Memorial Cup. I was like, yeah, you don't see this too often. And I was like, that's certainly gonna draw some eyes. You had Kitchener versus Chicoutimi and some OHL versus QMJHL champ action. Uh, let's see. Kitchener went 3-2. Um, let's see. Yeah, couple couple points there from Sam O'Reilly. Very, very strong form from him. Dylan Edwards with 2 assists was the player of the game. Pridham with another goal. Yeah, this was a low event game, though Chicoutimi did their best to turn it on in the third period. Weren't able to get it done. Maverick Lachance scored 1 goal. Uh, they needed two to tie it up. Didn't get that. 28-18 on shots. Kitchener 30-20 advantage on the face-off draw. They just really had a very, very strong performance on the draw in this tournament. And of course, the way things ended, you know, to their credit, Kelowna did what they were supposed to by, improving their roster enough to stand as respectable Memorial Cup hosts. But yeah, they just were outclassed throughout this tournament. Uh, Throughout much of this tournament by much better teams. They had their frustrations against Everett, so I'm not really surprised it ended like this, though I am disappointed for the guys who had to end their junior careers in this manner. But yeah, I watched this game. It was very one-sided. I was not satisfied and from a viewer standpoint. I was disappointed and I hurt for the dudes on the Kelowna side that it had to end like that simultaneously. Um and yeah, that 4-0. It's just nothing to say. But I Landon Dupont was not present for that game, so that could have been even more one-sided. But anyway, uh, we won't belabor the point there any further. It just don't deserve it. Yeah, and then Everett, in an on-brand manner, plays another one-sided game. Dupont scores 2 goals in that one as Everett won the semifinals. Everett wins the semifinal against Chicoutimi 6-1, out shooting them 36-26. Yeah. Dupont's first goal of the game stood as the game winner as it put Everett ahead 2-1. Just an absolute dominant performance. Two goals on 3 power play opportunities as the best special teams performance. And then it all came to an end last night. This really is such a statement about how good Kitchener was that they defeated Everett 6-2 twice in this tournament and won their third Memorial Cup, their first since 2003 when Mike Richards was there. I wow, what a run that this team went on. I always thought they were the better squad, particularly after they improved. I just thought sure they weren't consistently ranked number 1 in the power rankings, but the OHL was more intriguing to me than the WHL this year, and I thought the fact that Kitchener was the best team in the OHL from more or less the jump and then got better at the trade deadline. It was just going to push them over the top. Of course, curiously, I appreciate the fact that Jared Woolley and Sam O'Reilly both scored in this game because they were representatives of, Kitchener becoming what they ultimately ended up being this season. And I mean, what a run those guys have had together. You know, they won 3 OHL championships in a row. 2 with London, and then won this year. Uh, and then ultimately won two Memorial Cups, London last season and Kitchener this year, uh, which uh, I mean, there's a beautiful irony there. Um, that these guys achieve glory on both sides, ultimate glory on both sides of the best rivalry in the OHL. What literally might be the most intense one. But it also, like, aside from being, amusing if you're in the know, like, uh, yeah, it is just give them a unique place in the history of the entire CHL that, like, is one of a kind. Like, I don't even know what to say about how cool that is narrative wise that these guys got to be like, these guys had a brotherhood that followed them, and stuck together across multiple locales and through these interesting twists and turns. Know, these guys have such a fascinating story when you unpack the turns that it took, as well as some of the adversity that they had to overcome. Uh, that night squad, if you followed them for those few years, they just had a gradual climb of, achieving more and more hardware and like internalizing more and more lessons until they finally got to the top. And then these guys, repeated that when they were, it was a trade that was sort of anticipated considering, London had to start, you know, um, paying off the credit card eventually. Like Memorial Cups come at a cost. And you could tell that they didn't really have it this year, but it's just so fascinating, where that eventuality took them. Also hilarious that Pridham ended the game in the box, but that takes away nothing from his accomplishments. But yeah, I don't know what to say really. Like these guys, yeah. Also, that first period was something of a PDO bender. Like I was very like yeah, the shots were even more imbalanced at one point than what they ended up being. But yeah, Kitchener just dominated for the rest of the game. And then that third period, when they scored twice within the first 3 minutes, no, yeah, twice within the first 2 minutes, 1 minute and 3 seconds, in fact, Pridham and O'Reilly. Like, I, I, uh, I don't even know, man. It's like I was just like, yeah, any hope that there could have been for this being competitive is gone right there. Of course, the team with the lead, as was pointed out by the broadcast last night. I think was it. Yeah, who cares? Yeah, I believe since 2004, in every Memorial Cup final, a team with the lead in the going into the third period has won every time since 2004, but a historic comeback was rendered effectively impossible quite quickly. Carter Bear, of course, scored that goal to give them some breathing room. Give them a chance, within 2 minutes after the fact, but it just didn't happen. Um, yeah. Uh, there just was nothing there, and then Christian Humphreys scores the 6-on-4 effectively, or 4-on-6, depending on your perspective. Empty netter to put it away. Yeah, and just there just hit a point where there was absolutely no chance, and I was not particularly surprised. I was very much a Kitchener believer in this tournament. Like I just and throughout this whole run, I think this coronation ceremony, like from my perspective, it was a foregone conclusion. I just did not see anyone other than them having this sort of dominant year that very very much replicated the one that the London Knights had last season. Yeah, Cameron Reed, he had a good run too, but I am content with the fact that Sam O'Reilly skated away with the Stafford Smythe Trophy as tournament MVP. Um, as pointed out by Jordan Ursett of the Toronto Sun, as well as Puck Report, NHL. Sam O'Reilly is in a rare air here. So these are only the fourth player in CHL history to win their respective CHL member leagues regular season most outstanding player, league playoff MVP, and Memorial Cup MVP in the same year. Uh, since the with the only preceding members of that club being Brad Richards, Corey Perry, and Mitch Marner. Of course, him being who he is, he checks it up to having absorbed things from good coaches and, you know, being on good teams. It really does take a village, and it is noteworthy. Like uh, much like Corey Perry in the past, he was at the end of a dominant junior run, but I do think that there is at least the chance that Tampa Bay ends up winning that trade in the long run. They had to, their hand was forced, much like the Cutter Gauthier situation, and they had to move Isaac Howard. But I think the Oilers gave up a player that has the potential to be the better. Uh, yeah, they gave up the prospect that has a chance to be the better player in the long run. I really think that uh, there's something about Ike Howard that just has me like thinking that that his ceiling just is not something that he's going to hit. Whereas O'Reilly, there's a stable situation going on. Very very strong two-way player, um, that I think is going to be someone you can count on in your middle six to have like a very reliable and steady career. Like, it's just sort of how this like I followed his development so much the last 3 seasons, and it's just there's this trajectory that he's on from having absorbed phenomenal lessons from coaching and developmental staffs that I think are going to turn into something. But yeah, really, there wasn't as much pathos for the audience and and catharsis as there was for the London Knights narrative last year. With that, with them finally reaching the mountaintop after what had happened the last few years, losing a brother in arms, you know, having suffered every layer of defeat at the last rung that existed. You were talking about a team that first lost in the conference finals, then lost in the OHL championship, then lost in the Memorial Cup final in successive years, and then finally clean swept, or clean swept, I guess, depending on how you want to put that. I guess if you want to use more proper grammar, be the correct nomenclature. You know, um, finally they conquered everything with an emphatic victory. Something something just really to smile about with that. But there were some individual stories like you know within this that were pretty cool. On the losing side, Everett had a great run of their own that they should be proud of. This was their first WHL championship title as an expansion franchise that started in 2003. Um, but it's which also entailed their first appearance at the Memorial Cup. They fell just one hurdle short, as it remains the case that since 2014, no team for the WHL has won the Memorial Cup. The Edmonton Oil Kings squad remains the last one, but man, did they do some stuff. If I recall correctly, we're looking at next year's presumptive number one overall pick specifically. If I am not mistaken, his 6 points at the Memorial Cup breaks Michael Misa's record for most by an exceptional player status recipient. Um, so that's pretty cool. Like, this recently turned 17-year-old is, on quite a path. I don't know if we're looking at someone who's going to be as good as Matthew Schaefer, who has managed to exceed even my expectations, but because I thought he was going to be very, very high end. We're looking at a generational defenseman there. Um, but do I think he's going to be a star? Absolutely. Yeah, let's bust this out one more time. Yeah, he's gonna earn that number one overall pick spot for sure. Oh, is he not in the model yet? Oh, wait. He will be added like about halfway through his DY. And like, yeah, I'm sure he's gonna look great. I remember how I've been slacking on my Byron Bader stuff recently, but we'll let this speak for itself. Yeah, I mean, let's see. 127 games and 133 points in his first two WHL seasons with a plus. Oh my God. Oh my God. He is a plus 90. Like, what? Oh, not to mention 28 fucking games played in his play for those first two playoff runs and a plus 27 with 38 points. My God. Holy shit. We can't wait to see him at more international tournaments as well. I think Canada's gonna bounce back and probably win the World Juniors next year. I think it's within. I think it's in the cards. But yeah, quite a bit of individual hardware already. Yeah, only third team now, probably first before things are all said and done. Yeah, I don't think he's gonna go the NCAA route. I don't know. I think I've seen some speculation it might happen, but I'm not really sold on it yet. It just seems like this is the sort of dev path that he, his advisors, and his families want him to take, but I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. I don't have any insight. It just seems to match what I've seen. And Dan Hickling is the god of junior hockey photography. Anyway, yeah, there's still plenty of to be proud of there. Uh, yeah, so in the USHL, we had the Sioux Falls Stampede last week defeat the Muskegon Lumberjacks in the Clark Cup final. Very, very climactic closeout to that game. I mean, to that series with Sioux Falls winning 4-3 in double overtime, as noted. Yeah, Carter Amico. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, who was it again? Yeah, Joey Macrina was the hero, but really the legwork was made possible by Leonard Feldbergs. Yes, the same one who defeated Canada on Team Latvia for in the World Juniors in 2025, who really just seems to have ice in his veins. He really seems to be a guy who rises to the big moments. Um, yeah, 41 saves in that closeout game. His overall stats are 1.91 GAA, 939 save percentage, and two shutouts. Notably, I believe between games 3 and 4, he had 95 saves. Um, yeah. And so when looking at his stats in the final specifically, he had a 1.66, a 952, uh, and a shutout. Um, yeah, there's a lot of drama in this series for sure. Couple of very closely contested games, really high level competition throughout. Right. Yeah, I feel a little bad for Muskegon because they've been very, very close a lot in the last couple of years. But nevertheless, like we had this guy, you know, uh, give us some feel good because like really, you know, I there is a pathway. Yeah, we'll see him at Merrimack College. He'll be in Hockey East next year. Uh, after taking quite an interesting path. 1 year in Sherbrooke in the queue where he was pretty impressive. Some very, very strong international performances. Uh, captured some hardware in the USHL this year, and now is will be playing for the defending Hockey East champs. Yeah, I'll give them their flowers. It was an impressive run. That now they have good goaltending yet again, which is a big difference maker for them this past season. God, what the hell? Anyway, yeah, Max Lundgren is going to have a very, very capable successor. Yeah, yeah, I think he's gonna do damage in the AHL for sure. Yeah, I am a Merrimack hater, but like I gotta respect what's been going on recently and what they got in store. Like I think Feldbergs could be just as good as Lundgren, honestly. Uh, um, yeah. Um, I just I think I was like pretty happy with how like competitive and just intriguing and high intensity that this car cup final was. Like it definitely like is one of those things where it deserved to draw major eyes on it and remind people there's still good hockey being played in the USHL even with the changing environment. But we'll close things out with some commitments. In the last week, we had Jack O'Brien of the Coast's Atlanta Gladiators. Yes, a reminder that the eligibility rules have been tweaked a little bit. Commit to the Arizona State Sun Devils program. Adam Vigfuson of the Niverville Nighthawks of the MJHL has committed to St. Cloud State. Tanner Duncan of the Knowles Maryland Black Bears will be attending Stonehill College starting next year. Let's see. Miles Roberts of the Fairbanks Ice Dogs will be playing hockey for the Northern Michigan University Wildcats next year. At least serving as part of their goaltender depth. William LaSalle, the QMJHL's Bonneville Boy Brianda Armada, uh, will be suiting up for the Omaha Mavericks next year. Um, we have Mason McElroy of the Knowles Fairbank Ice Dogs being in the goalie room for the St. Cloud State Huskies next year. A couple years out from now, we'll have Ilya Shabinsky of the Guelph Storm suiting up for St. Lawrence University. And lastly, uh, also 2 years from now, we will have Ryder Colley of the OHL's North Bay Battalion dressing for the Providence College Friars in Hockey East. And that covers all of our most recent commitments. So, a little bit of a short one, but it was a nice way to get back at it under, circumstances that are important. Yeah, we'll see what the future brings. Nevertheless, this brand activity is going to stir up a little bit more to the extent that it can at this time of year. But yeah, thank you for being present for my return. We'll see what happens down the pike. No promises of anything really. Um, but yeah, it's good to return to something again this nature. It just felt so natural to come back. Like I was not hesitant at all when I had this idea. Like I kind of decided it. I guess I was maybe thinking about it last night, but when I woke up this morning, I was just like, yeah, this is just what we're gonna do the moment I do like a small amount of household chores. Like it's just time. Yeah, the draft is something I await with bated breath for, um, should be should be a good an exciting lead up. And then when the time finally comes, my immediate reaction will be something I'd love to share with you all, and then I'll assess, high quality picks and such, same as any other year. Yeah, this I just had I had a lot of things that were just more important. No offense to anybody who waits for this stuff or as a collaborator. It's just there were other things that took precedence, and I just didn't really have the bandwidth for this. But yeah, I'm glad I get to at least do something before the dog days of summer really start. And you know, there I'll insert myself wherever I can. Maybe I'll start, just digging for stuff. Nothing else. But thank you for being here for this. I will see you again soon enough. Take care. I can attach this easily. We'll see. I think I can do it fairly linearly, but yeah, I gotta. I guess the proper way to end this episode is to ensure that I honor this week's prospect of the week. How can I give it to anyone other than this guy? He just made history. He's in a very, very small group of people who did just what he just did. Uh, Yeah, I mean, what could we said really? Very, very dominant run. He genuinely was one of the best players in the CHL this year. I guess the best one when you consider the his accumulation of achievements and what what company he put himself in, and him being effectively the centerpiece of the most dominant team in the entire organization. Like, I gotta give him his props before this ends. Yeah, what a year for him. And I hope this gives him some strong confidence that he takes forward with him in his pro career. But now we can officially say that is a wrap. I will see you soon enough. Take care, everybody. Have a great day.